opportunity to unapologetically run my Nobles Bennett stuff. So I have had to be politically correct my whole career, and I don't have to be politically correct anymore. So I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to just bear with me for a minute because it'll all come together in the end. It's a story with triumphs, tragedies, and unexpected twists of the bestseller. But this isn't fiction. It's the story of the Stone family, a family whose history is intertwined with the development of Kingsport, Tennessee. The story begins in Southwest Virginia, not in the coal fields, but in the New River Valley, where the pioneer spirit led them westward. As the frontier pushed further, the Stone family followed, finding new opportunities in industry, fueled by the rich natural resources of the surrounding mountains. They were one of the many families from their community who followed this path, led by George Carter, who acquired thousands of acres to build a city that would grow along his planned railroad. At the time, there was nothing in this area. There was no roads, there was no buildings, no banks, no post offices. Carter brought along trusted neighbors to help manage this development, including J. Fred Johnson, J.W. Dobbins, J.C. Jerry Stone, who became his land agent before starting the Kingsport Improvement Corporation for 20 years. Jerry Stone's brother, Russell, also moved to Kingsport and worked at Kingsport Press and later served as an alderman. Jerry's son, M.C. Stone, played a crucial role in Kingsport's education system, championing the need for a second junior high school, Rawson Robinson, a new Dobbins Bennett, and a remodeled and relocated John Sevier. Jerry's cousin, Herb Stone, after graduating from the Naval Academy, started a small chemical plant in Bristol before being hired by George Eastman to come work for Tennessee Eastman, eventually becoming the superintendent of operations. The Stone family became fixtures in Kingsport, with most of them settling along the growing residential sections of Watauga Street. Herb Stone and his family lived a charmed life, often featured in local society pages. The Stones traveled extensively, including a memorable trip in 1934 on an ocean liner leaving New York, headed to Germany. They crossed paths with the Mitsui family, founders of Mitsubishi. On this trip, he met with German industrial leaders, including those at Wacker Chemie, the large chemical company that played a major role in chemical warfare in World War I. Think about this. The Stones were in Germany just months before Adolf Hitler was elected, setting the stage for what would become the Second World War. As World War II loomed, the U.S. government approached Eastman to help Britain stabilize RDX, the only explosive known to be able to penetrate the hull of a U-boat. Herb Stone played a critical role in developing the pilot plant to produce RDX here in Kingsport. Meanwhile, he had a family back home. His daughter, Martha Stone, married Thomas Parham Sr. It was in 1940, and it was the best of times. But just 18 months later, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, using Mitsubishi planes, built by the same family that the Stones had encountered on their trip to Germany. Despite the turmoil, Thomas and Martha Parham started a family with 2 sons, born in 1941 and 1942. The U.S. entered the war, and Kingsport's industrial efforts shifted into high gear, including the construction of a 6,000-acre RDX facility, Holston Defense, managed by, you guessed it, Herb Stone. During the war, the Manhattan Project was also overseen by Eastman, contributing to this development of the atomic bomb that eventually ended the conflict. After the war, the Stone family moved into Rodwood Mansion, which they purchased from John B. Dennis, who had vacated the property for the purposes of the war effort. Tragedy struck the family in 1946 when Thomas Parham Sr. developed a life-threatening illness, and he died at the age of 32, leaving behind a grieving widow and 2 young sons. Martha never fully recovered from her husband's death, and she passed away at the age of 45, leaving their sons, Tom and Bill, to be raised by their grandparents in Rotherwood. In the years following the war, Herb Stone turned his focus to civic affairs, helping to build Kingsport's infrastructure, including the highway that still bears his name, Stone Drive. Both grandsons, Tom and Bill Parham, would go on to make a name for themselves in their own right. I've known Tom for 40 years. He had a successful career at Tennessee Eastman, where he often served as the company's spokesperson. He possessed a gift for language and diplomacy, qualities that I'm likely to say were influenced by his grandfather. Tom also became a passionate advocate of Kingsport's Greenbelt, a walking path that faced initial resistance from residents who feared it would attract crime and lower property values. Through his patience and persistence, Tom was able to convince property owners to voluntarily grant right-of-way for the path, a task many thought impossible. He served on the Greenbelt Committee for 21 years, helping to create one of the city's most beloved residential assets, or recreational assets. In addition to his work on the Greenbelt, Tom ran for elected office, serving as the city alderman from 2009 through Kingsport's centennial year of 2017, including 2 years as vice mayor. During his term in office, Tom also led efforts to establish the Petworks Good Steward Animal Center, a modern animal shelter that largely is funded by private grants and donations. Despite these challenges, Tom's leadership and determination helped bring this project to fruition, providing a much-needed resource for our community. Tom was also celebrated for his 50 years of service to Kiwanis, a testament of lifelong dedication to public service. His humility is one of his defining traits. When I asked him why I knew him for 40 years and I didn't know the Stone story, he said he'd always been taught to downplay their connections because they were afraid of being accused of riding their grandfather's coattails. Tom Parham Jr. is not just Herb Stone's grandson. He is a man who has made a lasting impact on Kingsport in his own right. From the Greenbelt to the animal shelter, his fingerprints are on some of the most positive and enduring aspects of this community. I'm proud to know him, and his story is one of the many reasons why the Stone family remains a cornerstone of this community's history. In one of the family home movies that I was able to watch, I saw Herb Stone in his latter years in a wheelchair, rolled up to look out the screen door of Hollywood, as if he were surveying his growing family and the community. Despite all of the unimaginable challenges he faced, many on a global scale, we all survived thanks to his leadership. He sacrificed more than we'll ever truly understand. Tom, I imagine if he were here today, he would say, "Well done, my son." Just as I say, "Well done, my friend." Tom, along with your Hall of Fame recognition, your children also want you to know that they have arranged for a brick to be added to the Dobbins Bennett Alumni Fieldhouse so that to permanently honor your legacy at Dobbins Bennett. So Tom Parham, join me on stage.